Hi there, it's Jonathan here. This is 4100 and we're studying the history of Israel's kings. The next 3 chapters cover around 60 years and inform us about Jehu in the north with his brutal justice and partial reformation of the spirituality of the kingdom, and in the south, the reign of the wicked daughter of Jezebel, Athaliah. Chapter 10 tells the gory story of Jehu obediently doing the work of God's punishment on the house of Ahab. 70 sons of Ahab are decapitated, together with many other sympathizers of his dynasty. 10 verse 11. We're reminded in verse 10 that all of this is happening because of the word of the Lord, which does not fail to accomplish what it has been called to do. Verse 18, a similar fate awaited the prophets of Baal, who are gathered together under false pretense by Jehu to be slaughtered. Chapters like this one raise again the issue of holy war, which is a complex one. Clearly, God has determined that to keep this house of Ahab with their idolatrous ways alive is to do more harm for generations to come than to exterminate them completely. His wrath is fierce, and in these records we are reminded why we are compelled to fear the Lord, both throughout the Old Testament and the New. Paul's language in 1 Corinthians about expelling the immoral brother comes to mind, that the whole batch would not be spoiled by the yeast of sin which spreads so easily and rampantly. Verse 28, Jehu did so much so well, but as is nearly always the case with the kings of Israel, we're told in verse 29, however, he did not turn away from the sins of Jeroboam and the worship of the golden calves. Again, we're told in verse 31 that Jehu was not careful to keep the law of the Lord and follow him with all of his heart. In the midst of all this brutality and bloodshed, it's striking to read something that sounds more akin to what we're used to in the New Testament, following the Lord with all of our heart. It's always been what God is looking for. David was a man after God's own heart, and God still wants the affection of our heart today. Verse 31 points out that the king is held responsible for causing the people to sin also. A good challenge to everyone who leads others and the accountability such people bear to not cause others to stumble. Chapter 11 reintroduces Athaliah, the mother of Ahaziah. Ahaziah was the youngest son of Jeroboam, not to be confused with the Ahaziah who ruled in the north, son of Ahab, and the one who fell through the lattice of his roof. To make things even more complicated, Athaliah, who was married to Jehoram, king of Judah, and the mother of Ahaziah, was from the royal family of Ahab in the north, daughter of Ahab and Jezebel. So here the family lineage of north and south combine. After young Ahaziah got himself mixed up with fighting Hazael and died, his mother Athaliah went a little nuts and tried to kill off the whole royal family. Jehosheba, royal sister of Ahaziah, wife of the priest Jehoiada, and auntie of Ahaziah's son Joash, decided to hide young Joash in with her husband in the temple, somewhere the evil mother Athaliah was sure to never find him. Athaliah reigned as queen of Judah for 7 years until her death. Chapter 11 tells the story of the brave and righteous priest Jehoiada leading a rebellion in Judah to secretly anoint and coronate Joash as king of Judah. 10:12. Joash reigns 40 years, and lo and behold, he's actually a good king. No such luck during this time for Israel in the north, who are cursed with evil king after evil king. Chapter 12 tells us the heartwarming story of a king actually doing something good, like fundraising for a temple renovation. 12:6 tells us that fundraising had been going on for at least 23 years when Joash had to push a little harder to get the work done. The money was spent on quality tradesmen, and we're told in verse 16 that the leader acted with complete honesty. Wonder of wonders, some godliness in the book of Kings. Unfortunately, the chapter ends with Joash being bullied by Hazael, king of Aram, who marched on Jerusalem with his soldiers, only stopping when he was offered, verse 18, all of the sacred objects dedicated to the Lord by the previous kings of Judah. Rather a far cry from the glory days of Solomon just 100 years before. Enjoy God's word.